The American Indian. Why does he suffer such a high rate of alcoholism? There's no known reason, no physical reason.
It's scary because to shoot rubber bullets at these people that are completely unarmed when they took an oath to protect them.
Police used pepper spray and rubber bullets to disperse them.
Everything is changed. Native Americans have been deprived of land, property, rights, customs, the whole way of life. Maybe that's the reason. Because all people who feel deprived are more susceptible to an illness like alcoholism. Not just Indians. And not just poor people who are deprived of things, but all people who feel deprived. For people who already have problems, drinking is more likely to become another problem. For information or for help, write alcohol. Box 2345, Rockville, Maryland.
Live from your mother's basement, this is the eMilitia podcast. So, tonight we will be recording our first guest podcast, so no fucking clue how it's going to go, but we're going to make it up as we do it. So, we have Anglo, myself, Hang'em, Rebellious Liberty, and our guest, Skulls and Scalps. So, you know what we're all about, but our guest, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Skulls and Scalps. I'm Native American. I live on a reservation. I'm pretty much an anarchist. And I guess that's it for now.
There we go. So, unheard of. I mean, we'll get into that, of course. But,
bye, Hang'em.
We lost. Hang'em got bored that quickly.
Good fucking start.
Fucking hell.
Don't take it personally.
Well, in the meantime, before we get started, Anglo, you want to say your bit?
I do, yeah. I think you're all expecting me to gush over this, but yes, you've all helped me complete a GoFundMe of £720 to get this gorgeous new microphone, which I'm told is pretty decent. Which is.
I hope that wasn't £720.
Oh yeah. No, there's no laptop. That was all a joke.
Gold plated.
You know it. So for this little thing and a laptop, which I'd have to wait a couple of weeks while GoFundMe sort out the funds, but 3 fucking days. I didn't realise this until after I'd eaten a photo of Boogaloo Clyde, which, by the way, check out my YouTube channel for that. It's as bad as you could imagine.
It's amazing.
It was hard to watch.
Okay, so mixed reviews. And fuck yeah, one guy called Randy Ravioli did over like £300 by himself. Don't know who the fucking guy is at all. Never spoken to them before.
I didn't know we were that lovable, and I still maintain that.
Yeah, man. I thought we weren't even going to fucking achieve it, but no, it took 3 days. Which, yeah, unbelievable. I can't quite fathom it, but you all have my total gratitude from the bottom of my heart, and that is actually sincere. But there we go.
You can't tell because his accent is just registering as sarcasm.
Well,
but
it's 3 a.m, and I did accidentally fall asleep before this.
Exactly. So
give me a
you're
minute.
Rejuvenated and ready to go.
Yeah.
So the topic up for discussion tonight is Native Americans and government interference, which we don't actually talk about that much in the modern sense. It's more just, oh yeah, look, the government did some really fucked up stuff in the past. How sad. You know, we don't think about the modern situation or what's ongoing with all these various shady dealings and agreements and contracts and shit. So we're all fairly ignorant, as is most of the libertarian population. So however you want to start us off, Skulls, like what would be the major background to all this?
If you want to do a whole history lesson, 1492, Columbus.
Oh, shit.
I don't really have anything personal against Columbus, and I'm sure people would attack me for that, but anyway. I'm from Florida, and I believe the first person who had contact with the natives in Florida who were originally here was the Spanish, and I think Ponce de Leon. they contracted a lot of diseases, and that's what happened. That's what killed most of them off. And some people speculate that they migrated to the islands in the Caribbean, but they either left, died, or intertwined with my tribe once we came down in the late 1700s. And that's just foreign intervention, technically. It's not even the government yet.
Yeah. Just colonialism.
I'm going to say a lot.
It's only
colonialism is the easy target.
Yeah. There's plenty of colonizer memes and everything still going on.
So, like, when was the first kind of major, I don't know, like, government intervention? Like, when the American colonials first got
Manifest
to Florida?
Destiny shit.
Would that be the next? Well, Manifest Destiny in Florida.
Manifest Destiny is after what happened to my tribe, actually.
Yeah.
What happened?
So,
that's ominous.
I'm Seminole, which we're one of 2 tribes in Florida. And we migrated down from Creeks, Muskogee up there. And sometimes people say Cherokee, but we all mixed as we came down into Florida. We became one tribe because we would get called runaways and all that. Basically, the first thing that would have happened was the pro and anti-government Cherokees. Anti-government Cherokees eventually came down into Florida because it was the Red Sticks and the pro-government fighting, because the pro-government Cherokees were on the side of U.S. government, which I believe would have been Andrew Jackson as a general. I might be wrong, but Andrew Jackson is extremely involved in my tribe's history. We came to Florida. Andrew Jackson became president. He was still a general during the First Seminole War. He became president Second Seminole War, which was 1830s. And that's when the biggest fighting happened. And that was the government trying to remove us from Florida and take us to the west of the Mississippi, to Oklahoma.
So, just a slight relocation.
Yeah. Desert.
Yeah, home sweet home.
Fuck me though. Like, I'm coming from a place of complete utter don't know anything about any of this, so that is already off to a great start, and I'm thinking, fuck. That just sounds fucking terrible.
I think the way Brits learn American history is we sort of skip all of the fucked up stuff and just jump straight into like Manifest Destiny. And like there's a few mentions here and there of like Custer and such, and like, oh, how sad, but we don't get into just how brutal the government was when it came to like just completely relocating people. Not even like
neither does the U.S. government though, and neither do the public schools. They don't bring that up. They didn't teach me that in school.
I took 2 semesters of U.S. history last year when I was a junior, and there were maybe like 2 pages about the out west tribes on the plains and the land grab, and then like a paragraph or 2 about AIM and the civil rights movement.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, they teach less and less every year about it.
It's because anything that paints the government in a negative light, as the bad guy, they're just slowly phasing it out. To, put on my tinfoil hat, but I think rightly so.
And it's no different than the modern movies where they, in the history books, they're like, oh, well, our soldiers had a really rough time when we were moving all these native people across the land and shooting them and killing them. So, like, you should feel bad, but also, like, patriotic for them.
Wow.
And you're like, oh, well, yeah, that's history. Yeah, definitely.
Shut up, kids. Just recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
It's still going on.
Yeah, so you mentioned to me a while back, your tribe was one of the few that's like still out east, right?
Yes, we're still in Florida. There's a population in Oklahoma that got moved, but they're the Seminole Nation, I believe.
So yours are one of the few that like properly held out.
Yes, we fought 3 wars. Technically, the third one was just a skirmish battle, whatever. We stayed here in Florida up until like the 1950s, where eventually farmers and stuff started coming up around where we were living. So a group of tribal members got in a Model T Ford and drove to DC to get federalized. And since we weren't defeated, we were allowed to make our own terms when doing that. So
And
we were the
what sort of terms would that be? What happened from there?
Like federalized, you mean, let's start with this.
Recognized federally.
As a tribe.
Yes.
And that gives you the benefits the few benefits our government has given
Yeah.
the native people.
And that was only in the 50s, right?
Yes, I
Wow.
believe so. Early 50s.
When were other tribes like started to be recognized? Was it a similar time or earlier?
I would say probably earlier, because we were still enemies in the field till like the 20s and 30s.
Fuck yeah. Fuck
But
the
like the
government.
Navajo and stuff were working with the government. Native Americans didn't even have American citizenship till after World War II.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
But they were
And we
still
still
like
fought with them.
subject to the federal government.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
what's
like more
funny.
so, like because they weren't citizens, they didn't have rights, and the government did whatever the fuck they wanted to them.
Yeah.
They'd take whole populations and just move them.
Yeah,
You don't live. You don't live here anymore. Here, live in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck me, man. How you're not a citizen of our country? We're going to dictate what we're going to do to you.
Yeah.
when you've been here for literally like 1,000 years, longer than anyone.
When you've been here long
dictating
enough
it.
to have completely different DNA
Yeah.
strands.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So how has that relationship with the federal government sort of translated into the modern day? Because I think you mentioned something about like as the bloodlines get sort of to use F and F
Degraded?
terms,
Yeah.
like sort of less and less pure blood.
So
You
the
eventually
government
lose
has
rights, right?
Yes, I believe the government has 4 terms for dictating whether your tribe is federalized or not. And that's you have to make a blood quantity to where someone's a tribal member.
Oof.
Excuse me. You have to have language that you can teach and record. You have to have, I believe, like creation myths and stuff. So your legends and what you would teach.
So you have to have a religion, basically.
Yes, which we do.
Wow.
Some tribes aren't federalized because they were bred out, but even though they were still living together, they were bred out too much, or they hadn't recorded their language and they had assimilated. So,
Which they were
I
told
think
to
it's
do.
Lumbee? Yes. Which was the whole point of boarding school.
Yeah.
Boarding school was
Yeah.
the first public schooling. We were taken, well, not us, but Native Americans were taken. They were forced to completely change who they were. They were taken from the family, separated, and then told that everything they'd ever learned was bad and that they had to be American.
What sort of time period was this?
That would have been late 1800s.
Okay.
So,
And
let's see if I can pull up.
I was going to say, and do you know how long that went on for? That sort of practice?
People still send their kids to boarding schools. Obviously, it's not as scary.
I believe it was
anymore.
like 1875 to 1933.
Yeah, boarding
was the main
schools,
amount.
and like that's government boarding schools or residency schools. Some people call them. And there's been corpses found there, like kids.
The fuck? Well,
Yeah.
like if they didn't comply and they were just sort of treated like backward
Yeah.
savages, they couldn't be helped or whatever.
I think you're
Yeah.
gonna find at any government institution that boards kids somewhere there's bodies found.
Yes, even public school. I don't like public school. It sucks.
Right on.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah,
the school
yeah.
even the school on the reservation where I live, it sucked. And that's with government funding and our funding.
Well, with the government funding, you're required to
Have a
teach
certain
what they
curriculum,
want you to
right?
teach,
Yeah.
and you have to
Yeah.
follow specific guidelines. And if you're not, then they won't have a government issued diploma or anything, you know. So it's either learn what we tell you, or we're going to try to fuck you in life, because people want a high school education to do most things.
Yeah, and that's the thing that really bothers me about the whole modern situation with the Native American population. Like, it's like a stranglehold, and then they're surprised when things aren't succeeding. They're like, wait, if I just choke you a bit harder, why aren't you getting better? Why are you starting to turn blue? And then like, all these things that just aren't being seen to, like the as tribes get less and less pure blood, they're like, well, there's not enough for you to be a tribe anymore.
Yeah, and you can't keep it pure because then it's inbreeding. Because
Yeah.
a lot of tribes say you can't date within your clan, which your clan isn't your immediate anyway. It could be other families that aren't related to you at all. So,
So it's actually bigger than what, like, West Virginia legally allows.
Yeah. So, my clan is one of the bigger clans. I don't have one because my mom isn't a tribal member. And usually your clan is passed through your mother. There is a ceremony that you be adopted in or assigned a clan by a medicine man, but supposedly no one doesn't practice it anymore. So I can't have a clan.
So
can
another
date whoever
tradition
you want.
lost.
Yeah,
Yeah, another tradition lost, which
That's
then
true.
sort of like kicks you out of doing that. So
yeah. So then it's
does that
the
reduce
government.
the
The
yeah?
government
Does
is
that,
restricting you, and then your own people are restricting you by saying, no,
'cause
you're lesser
see-
than us because you don't have a clan anyway.
And it's like the land that they're on now, the second the government deems, well, you're not a clan anymore, then they just come in and take their land.
Yeah, there's not enough of you, and you don't have enough blood quantity.
And we're going to push
We're
you
gonna
all
take the
out.
land. Yes. And use it for whatever we want. We're
Fuck.
stewards of the land.
yeah,
Like, so to this day, they're still doing what they've done since their inception.
Yeah, it's still technically a genocide, and
Mm.
it's a big thing in Canada right now. The First Nations tribes are like, Canada and Justin Trudeau won't call this a genocide because there's people dying. Oh, my voice is getting wobbly because I'm sitting on the floor. Sorry, but yeah,
I mean, it's a very slow and patient genocide. Now that they're established enough, they're like, well, we'll just outlast you. It's fine. You know, we'll act like we're being the peaceful, like, reparations-making good guy, when in reality they're still wiping you out, just using time
Of
Yeah,
course.
government-
and their own rules.
government plans for hundreds of years ahead, not next month,
Mm.
not next year.
Oh,
Well, look at it. What was it up Standing Rock? It was
The
heavily
pipelines.
the pipelines. They're spraying people in freezing cold weather with.
Yeah, and they did
Fire
all
'em.
that, and they still built it, and there's an oil spill.
Yeah,
Like,
like
they
right
wouldn't-
afterwards. It's
That's
horrible.
never gonna happen. It's so safe. It's like it's the modern day.
and
Yeah.
now they made it illegal to protest
Ugh.
oil lines.
Oh my god. Ooh.
Angler's just sitting there like, "Ugh."
All of this shit, man. All of this shit I hear just makes me wonder why there hasn't been a fucking second revolution.
because
Yeah.
they wiped out too many of them. I mean, it's
There were millions of us, and now we're like 2% of the population.
Because there are people sitting idly by, and there were people that had vendettas, and the people that had the vendettas fucking did what they did, and the other people were like, well, you know, life's good for me.
Yeah,
I see those people getting hurt,
we
but
won
yeah.
the war against the Indians, so we're on
Yeah,
land
you
now.
know, government propaganda against
Yeah.
the Native Americans
The
was
savages.
big too. Like, there was a lot of like news and propaganda, like making them look like bad people.
Well, yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it, according to Mormons, we are what happens to sinful people.
Oh fuck!
Oh, we just so happen to have a Mormon in the chat.
Yeah,
Who's also
it was,
part Native American.
it's not quite
This is
true,
awesome.
but I mean, there's like, it's funny because in a way, we believe that Native Americans actually were visited by Christ and everything. And that after a while, that certain Native American people essentially kind of started falling away, becoming, not good and everything like that. And so there is definitely a bit of that folklore within like the Mormon church with that, and of course that's gotten, hyped and hyped. Certain people say it, and then all of a sudden it becomes, oh, well, Mormons believe that Native Americans are horrible people. So it's interesting.
Bigot.
Yeah, I just know that this is what punishment is.
So basically, the Mormons believe that Jesus Christ came to the Native American people and they rejected him?
No, they didn't reject him. They embraced him. And after a couple hundred years, the history starts to, become essentially like, oh, they started kind of falling away. And then there was pretty much an all-out rejection of, those teachings and everything. And after a while, that kind of history, that those ideas were lost, and it became a lot of the warring tribes that you hear about, which isn't quite covered in the Book of Mormon or anything like that. So then becomes speculation as to, do we believe, like you said, do we believe that this is punishment, or speculation of just like, is this just what happens to normal people if they reject those teachings, or, just live their own life? And so it does get sticky because it's not quite the beliefs of the church, but at the same time, that could be a common belief amongst members in a way. So it's not actual doctrine of the church. We don't teach that, but people have their opinions of what it means,
Feel offended by anything, I'm fine.
I learned something about Mormonism today.
Yep. We believe that he visited all people on the earth.
Where do we go from that?
I was trying to think of, I don't know, a joke like even the blah blah. Good point.
One conflict out west was the whole ghost dance teaching that Wovoka was preaching. He was basically saying, he was a medicine man, he was basically saying, if we perform this dance and we keep dancing, we will raise the spirits of our ancestors and there will be more of us again. And the US government took that as, oh, they're going to kill all of us. So a conflict happened. It was the biggest domestic shooting to date still. So
was it done by like the local sheriffs, or was it done by the US military?
It was on a reservation where military posted.
Yeah. Okay. So it was like a Kent State thing, but like way worse. They celebrate Kent time, which
when was it?
That was I don't know it off the top.
Hang on, so they have military postings inside reservations? Is that a done thing?
I don't think they do anymore, but it was during the time where
Anglo's sitting there having like heart palpitations.
I am, man. Fuck.
They have really weird laws on Indian reservations. Like regular cops can't like follow you into them. Am I correct?
Yeah. No, they can't. We on my tribe's lands, we have our own police force, but it's kind of glorified security because they know where people are. Like, I have nothing wrong with drugs, but they know where people are harboring drug dealers, and they don't do anything about it. And it's different here because it's killing people, and there's barely any of us, so it's bad.
Don't quite have the surplus population for heroin addiction.
Yeah. Or opioids. But so like 2 years ago, there was a murder on someone's front door because the family was trying to get a drug dealer out of the house, and whoever the person, they weren't trying, whoever they were, shot a guy who like just graduated high school a couple of years ago. I went, and he's gone now, and they never found the murderer because we don't have jurisdiction out there, and they don't have jurisdiction in here. It would be going straight to FBI.
Yeah.
We go by feds, not state.
So it broke up a little bit there. What was that?
We go by federal laws, not state.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so essentially the feds, like the Indian lands, they're owned and managed by federal government essentially still.
Yes.
And
We
so
have
you
our own
can't-
tribal government, but the federal government has authority to.
Yeah, and so you guys work directly with the feds instead of state governments and local governments, which screws you guys over because the federal government's not extremely preoccupied in helping you.
No, they're the ones that, from the sounds of it, fucked you
Yeah.
constantly.
Or the local area in general. The
Yeah,
federal
the local-
government doesn't care about the state or the small communities, so what do they care about the Native American communities? Nothing.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was gonna say, so when something like that goes on, I mean, from the sounds of it, there's just no involvement. It's just sort of like, yeah, we'll get to it.
It's all willy-nilly, yeah.
That's just government in general.
Well, yeah. So like,
Well, this
I
is
don't know.
peak government.
Yeah,
Oh,
sure
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Like, the government has been involved in their lives more than
So efficient.
the standard American for so much longer.
So, I mean, with this much involvement and the amount of shitty treatment they've given you guys, I mean, one would assume Native Americans are very anti-government. Am I right?
You'd think that. There's starting to be more radicalized people finally, but a lot of people still think the tribal government is great and the federal government is great benefits. It's a weird mentality, and I don't like it, but I can't say that to people here or else I would get
Ostracized.
shunned. Yeah.
Yeah, and so this, for the increase in sort of anti-government mentality, the little there is probably just due to our current president, right?
Yeah. A
more
lot
like-
of it is. Oh, my
yeah.
voice, I just heard that.
It's all right. We all
Do I
take it
sound
when,
like
we-
that?
when we hear it back, we have to drink through it. But I know I do.
Any excuse.
Oh yeah, but so like during, I don't know, a Democrat president, it would probably be like, you know, life is grand.
Oh, yeah, they loved
That-
Obama, and they all,
Yeah, they're looking after us, even though the same shit's going on.
Yeah, I was going to say, did
Yeah.
anything fucking different happen?
No, nothing happened differently.
And then,
Of course not.
and then you get someone who's like, you know, vaguely right or whatever. It's like, yep, this guy's out to get us, even though he probably.
Yeah.
Has
And-
there been any changes like during his presidency to how, I don't know, reservations are treated, or just
How
same
we're
old?
treated? I don't think so.
But he's probably the big villain.
Oh, yeah, he is. He is the devil.
So
I mean,
do you guys get a lot of federal aid then?
I don't think we do because we're independent and all that.
Okay.
So, I mean, they still had rations and stuff, like powdered eggs, in the 80s. Like, my dad grew up in a traditional house.
what does that mean on a reservation? Is that like conservative?
I meant like he lived in four
Oh,
holes with leaves on top.
I gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm thinking too Western.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I actually lived on an Indian reservation out in Arizona, California. It was the Colorado River Indian tribes.
Mm.
And it was crazy because it was just so poor. Like, that's what I
Yeah.
noticed, is it was very, very poor, and most of the people there, I mean, like you said, they were pretty pro-government still, and it seems a lot of that way because they first of all, their tribal government, they really, they were in support of, which I did not notice a lot of input with them.
No, tribal governments, it's bureaucracy and popularity contests. It's ridiculous.
But even with that, like I noticed there was a lot of what do they call it? It was called 100 homes. It was like essentially just like these little shacks that were made by the government. It was government housing for really, really low income natives on the land, and it was just interesting because I did see a lot of support for the federal government that way, which when I lived there, I would have expected the opposite, like you guys are saying, like more anti-government.
Yeah. It would make sense for us all to be anti-government, anarchy, let's just stay tribes, and take care of ourselves. But that's not always the case.
No, but they give you some shitty houses, so it's all okay.
Yeah.
They're looking after us.
That's typical status mentality.
Yeah, like just chop someone off with the knees and then offer them a wheelchair and suddenly they're your friend.
Yeah.
So like everybody's worried about the turtles and the straws and their environment. What about us and our entire environment?
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
oh boy.
I mean, the original native way was like literally anarchy.
Yeah, everybody was in their little tribes. Nobody took authority over each other. You lived in a village. Sometimes you would have a chief, but usually we were with our families. So I would be with my mother's family. Any men who married in, they would move there with their uncle. Because uncles were the ones who would do the marriage.
And then we came and fucked it all up.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're the ones who think we defined anarchy and liberty, and we came and fucking destroyed it.
Yeah.
That's real fucking sad, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
that real...
That's an oof. Fucking hell, it's too late for an oof.
Big.
Well, Anglo, you're more like the armchair quarterback. You stayed in England and
The backseat driver just watched it all happen.
Yep.
Pretty sad. No, I don't know where we go from there.
Yeah, I'm still reeling from the fact that you said it's fucking illegal to protest oil companies.
I didn't say that, but
I read an article about that. They're passing that law,
Jeez.
like here in the last probably like 6 months or something,
that's
to
ridiculous.
protest oil lines because of the whole Standing Rock thing. They're like, well, that's bad publicity. So now you're just not even going to be allowed to protest it. They'll just arrest you immediately and hold you as a political prisoner in jail until the oil line's built, and then it spills on your shit.
Yep.
Fucking hell. Someone needs to catch some bodies. That's beyond ridiculous.
That's all just the day-to-day.
But like the big news corporations will tell you about what the Kardashians are doing daily.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Kim
Kardashian is trying to copyright kimono. Okay.
Oh my god.
And watch this cop play basketball with some kids.
And
then he's going to shoot their older brother later on in the day.
I was thinking earlier when you're saying how it's barely taught in public schools. Well, no shit. When you let the criminals be the one that control all the media you consume and the education your children receive, they're not going to tell you about the crimes they've committed.
What's that quote? History is written by the victors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean,
I would quote 1984, but that's overdone.
Oh, we do it every single fucking episode.
I don't think an episode is complete until we have referenced it, and usually,
especially me and you,
it's one of like 3 lines. Yeah, and then usually someone's like, "Oh, where's that from?"
Henry Ford had a great quote, and I'll probably fuck it up, but it went something like, if you ever want to see what total government involvement does, just ask the Native American.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But now, from the sounds of it, they say it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad because
enough
Native
propaganda.
Yeah.
They were like self-sufficient, completely self-sufficient.
Oh yeah.
And it was it was the government's job and their way, they literally knew if they can make sure they weren't self-sufficient anymore, they could destroy them. And they can take their lands.
Yeah. They
and
were
then
given
say-
bounties to kill off bison, which weren't our food source, obviously, because we weren't on the plains. But they were offering bounties for bison. People still say that it was to keep the railroads clear. No. I can't quote it exactly, but it basically, someone said, every bison head we get is an Indian family that starves this winter.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the advertising they put in like the newspaper and
Oh
stuff.
my god.
You got money for killing bison. There's pictures of people standing on top of stacks of bison. Let me find one.
I think I seem to remember a photo of like a massive pyramid of skulls and a few people stood in front of it with guns. So that
Yep.
rings a bell with me.
Holy fuck. Kill
Shit.
every buffalo you can. Every buffalo dead is an Indian gone.
Yeah.
Fuck
Oh
me.
my fucking Christ.
And that was like what, like 1850s?
It can't have been that long ago.
1850s, a little after.
Even after that, okay.
Because
So
our
like,
wars went on till like the 50s and 60s, and then Manifest Destiny and all that happened.
to me, that's not that long ago.
It's
Like
not.
150 years, 200 years, like in our history, like that's like recent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
And
with the Constitution
it's
being
been
around.
so whitewashed
Yeah, that's
It's
the
in
photo.
such a short period of time.
I'll put that on the in the video. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Oh.
Yeah, that's thousands of bison. And now they're all like, we gotta save the bison. You're the one who killed them.
Fucking hell.
Government is the only way we can stop.
Bison massacring.
Yeah, the
It's
only
only
way
gonna
we can
take
maintain conservation
Another
efforts.
tax on gasoline, and we'll save the bison for you.
Yeah.
Just one more, just another
And
dollar, and we can save them.
It's the same way with the whales up north. Those tribes hunted whales. They used to get attacked for going and hunting their one allowed.
Oh yeah. So you broke up a little there. So what was it? One a year?
Yeah. Usually those whaling hunts where they get in their canoes and they kill one.
Sorry,
whale.
your connection just completely dropped off again. So
Oh no!
yeah,
Not even fluctuating over here. It still says green.
you went like full Terminator. Yeah. So sorry, one whale a year for the northern tribes.
Yeah, the northwestern Pacific tribes, one whale. They would get in their canoes and spears, kill a whale, take it back, use every single part of it.
More
And
than
they would get
any
attacked. Yeah, they would get attacked. People would be out there pushing their boats over, all that. And our tribe, we used to eat manatees because we used to live up in North Florida, where it's more like plains and springs, hot springs.
Mm.
So,
Oh yeah, the manatees are all over.
It's an easy.
It's an
kill.
easy dinner.
You just stab it, let it float around, cut it up, use every part of it. It's
And
fat,
demonetized.
it's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing about all this is, like, all these Greenpeace types, you know, who protesting such actions, will also say they are big allies of the native people and their
Oh
traditions and
yeah,
cultures.
but they don't let us do what we should be doing.
You guys just eat grass, right? Like, we support you, but don't touch the
You guys are
fucking manatee,
vegan?
you savages.
And
Just do whatever you do normally, just not that.
Yeah.
even on so the tribe that I lived on for a little bit, in order to get like a business permit or even a permit to farm the land there, it was insane. Like you just couldn't get it. It had to go through the federal government, and so like you just couldn't create a new business. And
Well, because
there's no
business is independence, and if you're independent, you're not subject to being the government's
Yeah,
bitch.
then you're not
Yeah.
living off of their fucking poverty supplements,
No.
which don't help you.
yeah, no industry. I mean, they couldn't make their own anything. Mining, stuff like that was just impossible because it was on federally owned land.
Mhm.
Bullshit.
Jesus.
Yeah, you
Our
don't get the
tribe-
mineral rights if fucking they force you to move somewhere with guns. Like, they're like,
Yeah.
well, you know,
Yeah.
we gave you a new home in the desert. We know you're not from there, and
It's real nice.
no one else wants to live here. But
Try to there's a quote again where an official said that the Indians either deserve to starve or they're starving because they're too lazy to farm the land out there.
Wow.
And it's a desert.
I mean, meanwhile, the natives of Phoenix, Arizona, I learned this today. They were less nomadic than other people, so because
Yes.
there's not bison to chase, they actually dug the original irrigation channels of Phoenix,
Yeah,
which is
there's
really fucking cool.
That
I
is.
did not know that. And then
there's tribes that were agriculture centered. Like my tribe, we kept gardens in the woods, out in the hammocks. And we would change camps, we would move around the state, but we would have a garden. Gardening was huge. So we weren't all just hunters.
Sorry, we lost you there again. Gardening was
got the
huge.
general gist of that, but you cut out pretty bad.
Where did I cut out?
Like I think it all came
Gardening
through
was
just really
huge.
fucking weird. Yeah. So
Alright.
like a mix of
Gardening was
hunting.
big, yeah.
Yeah, and I like in my ignorance because they don't teach it. I didn't know that. I didn't know there was any sort of agriculture as part of the culture. So that was quite interesting. And then when these natives are putting in all that effort, like digging irrigation ditches, and then it's like, oh no, this land is much better. We're gonna put you over here. It's real nice. You're gonna like it.
Look at the savages gardening and having homes and family.
Just like we do back home. These fucking
part of the whole pilgrim myth is that they taught us how to seed the land and everything, so the people from Europe could survive the winter.
How did they do that? They were chasing buffalo. That's all they do.
Well, maybe in England, but at least East Coast, like that's what they taught us in school. Is they made it all nice and happy and
Thanksgiving and stuff. I'm just being an ass, but yeah, it's kind of odd. Like there's a federal holiday celebrating that, and then there's also the backwards like
smallpox blankets.
Well, again, the whole story is like whitewashed. Like, yeah, they took a little bit of the truth where they did actually help people.
Yeah.
And then they forgot about how they like slaughtered them and everything right afterwards. They're like, yeah, we'll make a holiday for that.
Or when they do teach you about it, it was like a fair fight.
Yeah, like pitched battles, army versus army.
Oh, it was an outnumbered fight. They were savages, dude.
Yeah.
They had bows and arrows. They're crazy. They grew up here for generations. You want to live here?
Yeah, that's in like the 1500s. When my tribe fought the U.S. government, we had, during the Second Seminole War, we had actual rifles. So the barrel was bored and rifled. It loaded from the back, from the stock. And it was a shorter rifle. It was like a Spanish rifle or something because we had an economy with the Spanish. And with Britain. Yeah. We had a successful economy. We traded with them. We had better firearms than the U.S. military did when they attacked us. They still had an 1815. It's a rifle, but it wasn't rifled. It's still loaded from the
muzzle.
Yes, it was still a muzzle loader. And it would break after like 4 or 5 shots, and it was just a big paperweight. It was like a 15-year-old contract that hadn't been filled out for 1 million rifles. And they had to use them. So we beat them because we had better firearms as private citizens.
Yep. Fuck yeah.
Music to my ears.
And guerrilla warfare.
And that's how we'll win again.
That's why you should legally own tanks. Better tanks than the government.
Fuck the tanks. Just have a better than mil-spec AR.
Yeah.
Just sit in the swamp and ambush them when they come.
Dude, more and more stories come out in the last 100 years, especially in like the 20s and 30s when the Depression was, of people just like rebelling against the government and taking over like fucking governments that got too powerful, little local ones.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And more of those stories come out that have been repressed.
Even like World War II in Athens, Tennessee, that happened.
I love that story. That's fucking
48
great.
or something.
What was that one? There was there one down in Florida? It was like a rural tourist town, or am I making shit up?
There probably was. Florida's like that.
Yeah, Florida, man.
Florida is like
I love
that.
it here.
Florida man starts a revolution.
Yeah, for context, like I talk to Skulls pretty regularly, and most of the DMs are like Florida man. I'm like, fuck. How are we doing on time, Angler?
We've got 46 minutes.
Good for us.
It's been rather structured.
I know. For a
we-
guest
We
episode,
did
we're actually.
good.
We have done
Yeah.
ourselves proud, especially you, BR. Jesus, you
I
kept
know.
this
I
shit
sobered up
afloat.
pretty quick.
Well,
I mean, I came into this with a serious composition, as always.
yeah, of course.
I guess how we could wrap this up is
I can't hear anything.
Oh, that's good.
At all?
No, I didn't hear anything for like 30 seconds there.
Oh,
It's
okay.
only BR, don't worry.
Yeah. I mostly just talk shit. Apart from now. So to wrap this up, these problems we got to like sort of the 50s and sort of like I guess we talked about the modern day a little bit. Is there any current like changes in the works? Like, do you notice things shifting at all, or is it just
Same old shit.
same old, like culturally and politically?
Our tribe was the first tribe to find the gaming law. So we're fairly prosperous now because we had casinos. We did bingo first. There's a whole song about it. Seminole Bingo by Warren Zevon. That's about us. I have a couple pieces of jewelry from that old bingo hall building that I made. And it's basically bingo was allowed here because it was federal land. Gambling was allowed. And
Gateway drug.
it is. Bingo. So local sheriffs, so county sheriffs and police and troopers would sit outside the reservation lines and wait for white people to leave with their winnings and arrest them or take some of it, finding them.
Tax it.
And it was the same way with cigarettes. We got tax free cigarettes. When people would buy a lot, they would charge them with trafficking.
So basically, it's just a continuation of strangling any legitimate business you guys have going.
They don't do that anymore, but it sucks.
That might not be intentional strangling so much as just revenue generation.
Yes, like
they're just blindly strangling them at this time. They're like, you know what? You don't even see how fucked they are. They're like, you know what? Let's kill their business by making some money for the police department. We just put this money in our pockets, buy fucking tanks, and then we can stop more of them from gambling.
It's just the way the system is in general. I mean, it doesn't even have to be focused to be doing harm, which is very fucking telling. There's not even, it doesn't even have to be a malicious force like we're gonna get rid of the Indian population over generations. It's like just the way it's set up. We are reducing local business through regulation.
Yeah, no one's going to defend it either, saying, "Oh, well, gambling is wrong, so you shouldn't be doing that."
Yeah, ridiculous.
Thanks to
it's like you're skirting the law by going onto reservation land by doing it. So really, they deserve a cut.
They're criminals and should be treated as such.
Mm-hmm. They didn't do anything. They didn't hurt anybody.
Well, just like prohibition. Everyone loves gambling, but
I know I do.
Somehow they make laws.
Well, I believe it was because churches did bingo, and we're like, hey, we're the only ones allowed to do bingo.
We have a monopoly on this. Do it in the Lord's house or nowhere. Thank you.
Oh no, churches love the bingo night.
Yeah,
and they'll do the casino nights too.
They're the ones who were like, hey,
gambling in the
why are these Indians doing bingo? We're losing money.
Wow. If you want to hold monopoly, get the government involved.
Hey, they're meant to be coming to our untaxed.
I can't hear anything again.
God damn it.
It was only
That
me
might
that
be
time,
on my
so-
end.
Um,
And as far as modern stuff, schooling it sucks.
Hold on. To note on that, like the schooling, like it's public schooling, obviously, but how is it different than on the reservations? How is it different than when in a normal community?
Only tribal members are allowed there. The board of representatives here is the school board, so they choose how the tribe spends their money on the school.
Oh, so is that like
People,
outside of the reservation, people deciding how you run it, right? Or
I didn't hear that.
oh, so is it like the sort of local, I don't know, county or whatever school board deciding how you guys run your stuff on the reservation, or is it?
No, we are. I think.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't super involved with it because I was only in middle school, and then my parents took me out and homeschooled me. I graduated.
Cool. But I take it it's all the same curriculum, essentially.
I think so. I've never been to another school besides
Oh,
the
sure, yeah.
yeah. And that's also because good schools are over like an hour away, and I'm not getting up at 4:00 to get on 5 and drive an hour with a bunch of other kids
Well,
and be
good,
there. It's the same as
good
boarding
public schools aren't like as good as you think. Like they're not teaching you anything that you couldn't learn by like just getting a job and learning life a little bit.
I
Reading
couldn't
a-
hear
reading
that
a few
again,
books.
Sorry.
Hang on, just giving out elderly sage advice. Get a trade.
Get a job.
Get a job.
Dang, millennials.
Zoomers.
Oh, yeah. That's...
Well, I'm just
Do
talking
the
in
bang
general
those up.
about the public schools and what
No,
they're
I
actually
know.
teaching the
I'm
kids
guilty
to.
of-
I know you're
public
making fun of me.
schools are terrible.
Me making fun of you? That's inconceivable.
Oh.
Inconceivable.
It's low hanging fruit. I can work it in
Low
any.
hanging fruit.
Oh fuck.
Oh, so many layers.
Oh fuck. Guns never made it in.
No. Oh, well.
I'm pretty sure I sent him a message. I was like, "Yep, we're recording."
F for guns.
He
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
like, and then just never showed.
F in the chat. Yeah, that's why I introduced.
I
Yeah.
can't hear again.
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
you did drop
Going
out then.
out.
Fuck. I don't know. It's just podcast facts no one cares about. I did the intro, not guns. I'm not just guns with a cold and like one too many drinks.
No, that's just guns.
Yeah, true.
Well, again, everything is just silent. Sorry.
Everything is black.
Yeah. I'm
getting cold.
This
Don't
is what
walk
I
into
get.
the light.
This is what we get for being on a reservation where we're the end of the power lines, the state power lines, and we're the end of the internet, because the fastest internet out here is the slowest one offered, and there's only one company allowed to do it.
Wow. Oh,
Capitalism.
So that's another
Spelled.
infrastructure sucks
fuck off.
too.
That's
I
modern
know
day
you're
fucking.
joking, but that annoyed me.
I've triggered Anglo's socialist.
Yeah,
alarm.
talk shit about free market and that sends me off.
I make that. I've probably been making that joke once a day at least. Like capitalism has failed us. Fucking Skulls here sends me that. We haven't mentioned e-thoughts tonight, so I guess
Yeah, we've done well.
We'll end.
Oh,
We'll
I'm
end on a high
sorry.
note. Huh?
Well,
But
we were talking about deserts and capitalism. The only reason people can live in the desert is because of capitalism. Look at Phoenix
Into the
and
arrogance of man.
Vegas.
Oh yeah, I would pussy out in the desert if there wasn't AC.
Oh yeah, everyone would. It's fucking 1,000,000 degrees out there.
It's pretty fucking warm. I'll tell you that much. Hang on. But where I was getting at. So the other day I get sent by Skulls here. Who was that? Who's that fucking girl? Guns is always on about Belle
Belle
Delphine.
Delphine,
Oh,
yeah.
Belle Delphine. Ugh.
Yeah, she's now,
Me
she's
too,
now
me too.
selling. Oh, fuck.
Bathtub water.
Bath
Yeah,
water.
I saw that.
It's probably not even real.
I don't know.
Good for her. If people
Yeah,
are stupid enough to buy bathtub water,
no.
like the only reason you people are against it is because she's making money off of selling bathtub water.
No,
You're like,
no.
why am I doing that?
I joke
Then
about
don't
it.
lie.
I joke about it, but I 100% support her. I hope she makes stupid amounts of money from people's fucking.
I don't even like her, but if people are so stupid that they're fucking buying her bathtub water or whatever it is she's selling, good for her.
Oh, Guns is online.
Oh,
Join
damn.
you fucking bitch.
Oh, just in time.
Just as we start talking about Del Delphine.
England, you should cut the podcast.
Oh no, here he is.
Fuck, he found
There's
us.
guns.
Our man on the streets.
How's the weather down there?
It's really muggy down here, actually.
What's the hype on the streets? What are the people saying?
The hype? Well, apparently some guy named Marshall has to work tomorrow, so that sucks.
Oh,
Sorry, Marshall.
F for Marshall.
Yeah, he's
No
not here, but
independence.
yeah, F for Marshall. Anyway, what y'all talking about?
Del Delphine, just as you started to fucking join.
We just had like a real productive, like almost hour-long conversation, and then we're just like, yeah.
And then we dove into e-girls.
Well,
That's the
BR
end.
specifically.
All right. Well, I mean, is the podcast still going? Am I good?
Yeah, we're just about to end it. So good timing.
Just about to end it?
Yeah, we're coming to a close.
We're probably
That's
even going to cut
great.
this bit out, just so you're not in it.
Yeah.
That'd be mean.
Okay, all right. Call me mean, whatever.
I wanted to jump in to make sure that I had been a part. Everyone, what'd y'all talk about?
Oh, you'll see the
You can
You
podcast.
can listen to it like everyone else.
At the end of
Fuck
the
you.
podcast.
Fuck you in the cheap seats.
You can-
What'd you say down there? Yeah, fuck you.
Was it
We
about,
talked about Native American tribal mistreatment.
Oh yeah, I could definitely talk for a long time about that.
Too bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Yee, dude. Anyway,
I don't know. Like Reb's kind of surprised us. I didn't know about him living on a reservation at any point. So I mean,
Yeah.
fuck it. You guys pull stuff out your ass. I love it.
I was on the res.
Res life.
Living on the crit. That's what we called it.
anyway, dude, I'm glad I could be a part of this.
Oh, hold on.
Glad you could.
Oh, you are.
Guns
You are.
give
You can
me-
sleep tonight.
Can guns give me a nickname?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like Pug Eye or something. But not Pug Eye, because that's taken.
All right, well, I'm gonna get back to what I was
That's a
doing.
no.
No, goddammit. We need a service of you.
What, you need a closer?
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
do the
that-
outro.
Okay, well, we appreciate you listening to us for a whole. How long was it?
An hour. It's an hour.
Just an hour.
Yep.
That's not that good.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
It's concise, damn it. We usually
kick him
overrun.
I know it wasn't a big deal because an hour isn't that long, but still, we appreciate y'all listening to us, even though I wasn't a part of it.
fuck off. It's always an hour.
This is all being cut, right?
You know,
Yeah,
We can agree on that. Yeah, all this is being cut.
Yeah, don't worry.
these are
I'll take
important-
him out.
These are important issues. So thanks for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Also, if we hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the week,
Anglo will eat a picture of Belle Delphine.
No, that's not happening.
I'll circumcise my own penis.
Oh, you gotta start low and then work your way up. But I like where you're going with this.
Better hit like 5,000 tomorrow.
I'll post it, and I'll make sure to record it with the Yeti so you get the full ASMR.
Hey, no, that's just copying me.
I
Make-
don't give a shit.
Make sure you do it with a spoon.
Get us to also BR and Anglo and the rest of y'all. Who else here?
Hang'em, Rebs, and our guest, Skulls.
All right. Whenever we plug this podcast, you know how like last time BR said like, should guns buy a van? Blah 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 blah. All the things we talked about. You remember that?
What was the last blah blah blah?
I
don't know.
don't remember. But
Do you want me to plug the shit out of you circumcising yourself?
yeah, you should say, will guns circumcise himself on camera? You know, because like who wouldn't listen to something that mentioned that?
Let's make that the title of the podcast. Let's not allude to anything we've talked about so far.
Wow.
Anyway, dudes, we appreciate you listening. Thanks for listening. It's been a blast filming this podcast for y'all. I gotta go unload a truck, and it's like 11 p.m. here. So, and yeah, so I'm gonna go do that.
All right, have
Peace
fun.
out. All right, good seeing y'all.
Sure was.
Lift with your back, jerk.
Twist as
up
much
and
as possible.
Bye, buddies.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.